Hey there, welcome to Playing in the Sandbox, the podcast. I'm Tammy J. Bond, your host, and thrilled that you decided to join me for another episode today. I am excited to be talking about one of my favorite topics. Well, then again, they're pretty much all my favorite topic. That's why I bring them to you in the Sandbox each month. And this week, we're going to be talking all about your BS. Yep, you heard me right. Your belief systems. We're going to help you to identify what belief systems you might be holding on to that could be holding you back. We're also going to get to the root of belief systems, and we're going to dive into some of the tools that you can use with the colleagues that you work with or the teams that you lead to identify some of those belief systems, that BS that's playing in their thought process that could be restricting their or limiting their ability to do more in the workplace. So step into the sandbox, kick your shoes off. Let's get comfy. Let's get our toes in there and dive into my favorite topic, all about your BS. Oh, one more thing. Hey, friend, you're going to want to head over to tammyjbond.com/podcast and get your copy of today's after action plan. Because while I cover a lot of details in this fast-paced podcast, there's more in the after action plan for you with the actual questions and things that you can use to ask of yourself and those around you as you gain new tools, tips, and strategies to up-level your personal leadership, your decision-making power, your communication, and your personal power and authority in the workplace. So let's get that after action plan so you can get those tips, tools, and strategies. And I will see you in the sandbox. All right, let's get into it. I am excited to be having this conversation with you today about your BS and what your BS tells you about you, Y-O-U. That also could be Y period, O period, U period, your own universe. What does your BS, your belief system, tell you about you being the center of your own universe, the world that you've created for yourself? You know, if you look at the results, friend, that you have around you today, positive or negative, what you want, what you don't want. Are you leaning in the direction of what you want? Are you leaning in the direction of what you don't want and you're trying to reverse course? There's something all about your BS, your belief system, that are causing those and creating those outcomes for you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You know, I read something recently that, that I've known, and it just struck me as a simple sentence. And I want to share it with you. And that because it actually relates to today's conversation about your BS, which is all behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem. Well, that means that is true. Your desire to solve a problem is truly driven by, that desire level is driven by the BS that you have been collecting over the course of your life, your belief systems. Because that's what helps you to get to the problem, get to the root of it, get to the solving part of it, and also help others around you to identify what those drivers are for solving problems as well. It has something to do with your beliefs and the belief system that you operate in, which I guess to really get into BS today in this conversation, I want to start with this thought of, if you get in and you really search the term belief systems, right, you're going to find a lot of different definitions. No surprise there. But, you know, perhaps the one that resonates with me most strongly is that our belief systems are mental structures. They're mental constructs in our mind, right? And they influence the way that we perceive the world around us, which goes back to that problem solving, right? They're behind what helps us to create that desire to solve a problem in front of us. Remember, I think I said this in an episode before, that our brains are like heat-seeking missiles. And if I haven't shared that with you yet, surprise, your brain's like a heat-seeking missile, and it's always going to work to solve the problem that's rooted in whatever our belief is that we have around our present situation. So our belief systems are that set of values that we accept or reject, and they're social structures in our mind and in our thinking, and they provide a supporting network and a sense of belonging for us. And there's something that we've gathered throughout our entire life. This BS is something we've gathered throughout our entire life. From the moment we were born, we've been influenced by people around us. And I want you to think about that from your own life. I mean, sit back for a moment and pause and think, okay, who's influenced me in my life? And who would I say is a mentor? And who would I say is a positive influence? Who might I say is a negative influence? And what have I adopted from them as either right or wrong, yes or no, true or false, right? That framework for you is part of the belief system structure that's influencing the way that you perceive the world around you. Well, if you think about for you who those people are, how they've caused influence, they've influenced you, positive or negative, or caused something to be influenced in you in the way that you respond, the way that you react, right? The way that what you say yes to and what you say no to. It's rooted in that historical value of those people and the beliefs that you've adopted and accepted as your personal truth. They're like an operating system. Our belief system is like an operating system that's in our phone, right? In our computer, in our cars. Our belief system is that driving force behind the decisions that we make, the desire to solve a problem, okay? So what does that mean for you in the world of work that you do? Whether you're a business owner, whether you are a leader of others, whether you're just a leader of yourself, maybe you're in a relationship and you're not sure what to do in that relationship. Maybe, it's not a positively influenced relationship for you. Okay, there's something about your belief system that's either keeping you there or causing you to want to move on. Tapping into the beliefs that are the driving force behind you is important, and learning from them, what do I want to update? I guess I want to say it like this, thinking of the phone sample here. And you get the phone on your phones, get it on your computer as well. You get the little pop-up message, right? That says you've got a system update, right? System update required. You want to update it now. You want to update it in an hour. You want to update it later tonight, right? I always usually pick later because I'm in the middle of something when it pops up and it's not so convenient, right? But it goes to work to update your operating system so that it fixes bugs, right? And it helps to clean up the operating system. There are things that I know happen that I have no idea. Every once in a while, I'll read to see what a certain update is actually going to do, right? For my little phone means really not much to me. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize I had a bug on that app or in the way that the phone operated in that way. But the phone knew, right? And so the operating system gets periodic updates. And I don't do anything about it except click when I want it. And if I don't click that I want it, eventually it's going to get the update or it's going to not be working as efficiently and I'm going to want to go get that update. Why am I talking about your operating system on your phone? Because you're taking the time to update that without even thinking it through because you know that somebody told you it was good for it, right? If you want it to be operating efficiently and effectively, you want to get the update. Your belief systems, I feel strongly, our belief systems are very much the same way. And this is your opportunity with this podcast today to get into looking at what belief systems are ready for update. What belief systems no longer serve you, so they need to be deleted. What beliefs do you hold within the construct of what makes you you to operate as you do? What beliefs might you be holding on to that came from the past, right? From somebody else, from an experience, good or bad, positive or negative. You've adopted this set of beliefs. And it's now time to say, are they working for me or are they working against me? Are they keeping me safe and neutral, not stretching my comfort zones, not going for that next level goal, not going for the win, right? How are the beliefs working for me? And what do they say about the life and the relationships and the work that I have been living day in and day out? Remember, our belief systems are mental structures that influence the way we perceive the world around us. So we can be using those mental structures based on past experiences to keep us safe in the moment or to cause us to want to step out. I mean, what makes certain people want to be, jump off of cliffs and go parasailing or I'm trying to think of other things. I'm sure your mind is going. You're probably answering for me. All of these things that go swimming with the sharks. No, thank you. I'm not a fan of that. I've been in a boat next to a shark. That's about as close as I want to be. There are people that are risk takers. Why is that? Well, there's something in their belief system that causes them to be that. Just the same, the people that play it safe, that never go over the speed limit and don't venture out into new relationships because they're uncomfortable or they're extremely uneasy about meeting new people. So I'm just going to stay in the box that I know and it's safe here. That's okay. There's no criticism in that at all. But I want to be clear that it's rooted in a belief of an experience and a mental structure that we have in our head, right? That we operate by, like our operating system that keeps us in those patterns of behaviors. So even more simply put, they are a network. Our belief system is a network of beliefs, right? That we each hold about what is, what should be, what's right, what's wrong. Yes, right? What's true and false. And it's an invisible force, or they're an invisible force behind our behavior. So when we're looking at solving a problem, we're looking at trying on something new, we're looking at status quo, keep it the same. And if you have anybody in your work environment that's a status quo, keep it the same kind of person, guess what? That's a belief system for them. They don't take risks for a reason, rooted in something that happened. It got a reaction or it had an experience that wasn't safe or it wasn't the right thing to do. So keep it status quo. It's the invisible force behind the behavior. And when you want to change a behavior in yourself or in someone in your workplace or in an employee, it's very important to identify and understand the belief that is the underlying component to why they're making the choices that they're making. Okay. I want to tell you this because this is going to help you to unpack these things. These three things are going to help you to get into, I guess, working on not only just your own BS, but also those around you. Everything that I share here, when I ask you to look in the mirror and reflect, or I ask you to take a page and make some notes or journal and really think about how whatever the topic is here in the sandbox might be impacting you, you can then reframe that and use that same thing with permission, by the way, with the people around you that you might be struggling with in relationship or in the workplace. Okay. So this is something to use on you first before you ever try to use it on somebody else. Here are the three things I want you to know about your BS. Okay. They're rooted in the past. Always. Our beliefs are always rooted in the past. I said earlier that we're collecting these beliefs from the moment that we're born, from the parents, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles and cousins, the school teachers, the coaches, the school bus driver, people around us, our neighbors, are in our community. We watched them growing up. We were influenced, and our beliefs, we adopted some of them. We took them on because that was just like our family to do that, right? That's just the way that our family is. Have you ever heard that one or said that one? We adopt our own beliefs as children growing up from the world that's influencing us. And then we have further beliefs that, because remember I said that, our brain being a heat-seeking missile, and we're driven by being a problem solver, right? We've got a desire to solve a problem, and that drives us forward. Well, we're driving forward to solve a problem based on what's happening in the present, rooted in something from a belief system in the past. So you got to ask yourself, am I making the best decision now? Is what I'm experiencing right now the same as what was experienced in the past that gave me this belief? Or does this belief still serve me? How does this belief still serve me to make the decision the way that I am? If I'm avoiding making a decision, asking ourselves, what's that rooted in? When have I seen a time in my past? Okay, you with me? When am I seeing a time in my past where I've made a decision like this and it worked out negatively or didn't go the way I wanted to, right? If I'm avoiding making a decision, I go back to when have I seen a time like this where I've made a decision on this in this way that turned out negatively? And is it the same or is it different? Because what I'm experiencing today may not be exactly the same, but there's similarities to it. That's why my brain is attached to it when I'm asking myself the question. But the decision I'm making is rooted past behavior belief system that's supporting me today to say a yes or a no, true or false, right? To move forward or towards something or pull away and retreat. The belief system that we hold is rooted in the past. And so the challenge for you is to ask yourself how it serves you, right? But here's how it applies to your people, right? The people around you, employees or the colleagues that you work with. Let's say you have somebody who's very fear-based or very, very timid to step out and take new challenges on. And they'll say to you all the reasons why they can't and they shouldn't and they never. And then they might go into, because it always, they'll be extreme or maybe just very matter of fact with their experience of why they are timid about making a decision or taking action or following through and honoring their word. One of the great questions for you to ask them is, when have they, if they come up with all the reasons why not, ask them, when have they ever had this same experience, have that very outcome that they're saying would happen? Right? How do they know for sure? That's when you can get into the belief around it. And more often than not, they're going to say, well, it didn't, but I know from before. Okay, that was before. How do we make it different now? This is a belief, a decision you're making based on a belief from the past, from an experience. Okay. Part of your BS, that's storytelling. How does that serve you right now? And if it were going to be different, how might it be different? And what if we took a chance today and stepped out and took a risk? That's how you get to the decisions being based on something rooted in the past, but the decision going forward, right? My fear around it is based in the past, but to move forward, I'm going to ask myself some thought-provoking questions or ask the person around me some thought-provoking questions to get them to see they have an opportunity to change that past conversation that's rooted in something that happened back here that's been a belief I've attached to say, thank you, you're no longer serving me. I'm going to try something new today. And when you do this with someone that's really timid, I want to say this, leader, this is important for you. When you do this with someone that's really timid and really maybe unsure about their own skill set to step forward and take a risk, I want you to be there with them every step of the way and check in with them frequently. How'd it go? How are you? What more do you need from me? How may I be of service? Those are just some of my favorite questions to ask because they're going to be uncomfortable and uneasy about it. And the way that you help them navigate that, whether it goes positively or not, the way you help them navigate that is by staying present and staying connected to them instead of just challenging them to go, well, where does that come from the past? Okay, well, do you believe that to be true today? Well, what if it would be different? Okay, go forward. And then they try it and they're sort of floundering, or they try it and it works and they want to celebrate, but you're no longer there. That's one of the areas I think that leaders miss the mark the most. We challenge our people. We give them an opportunity to try something new or to stretch their comfort zones. And then we leave them floundering with the result, positive or otherwise. And our opportunity as leader to draw people in close to us, as I sidestep our BS conversation for a minute, as we draw people in, we want to draw them in by following through and following up with them multiple times after they've just achieved something or failed at something that didn't go the way that we all thought that it would. That's how we get people to come in close to us so they trust us as leaders, and we elevate our personal leadership with them so they are willing to go out and take risks for us in the future. I digress. Let's get back to number 2 because of the 3 things to know about your BS. They're always rooted in the past. Our belief system is there to keep us safe. At least that's what we think, right? When we are operating out of past beliefs based on reconfirming or reaffirming a decision and a thought or a behavior that we have, right? That we've held on to so tightly, right? It's often there, especially when it comes to not wanting to stretch our comfort zones because we believe that it keeps us safe. And instead of being that risk taker and jumping off the cliff with the bungee cord tied around our ankles, right? And hopefully the other end attached to something that's going to hold us, right? When we get out to that stepping off that platform, well, it doesn't feel very safe in that moment. So the belief that we've been telling, the story that we've been telling ourselves around that risk feels like we're stepping off this huge cliff in the moment. And really cool fact is when we step off that cliff, sometimes it's just like stepping off a sidewalk. It's just taking a small step. But in the moment, in the anticipation and the storytelling of all the things that happened in the past that belief is rooted in, it's so big. It feels like this huge, huge cliff. And then when we take the step, when you've got the proper supports around you to identify that was then, this is now, wow, that was just like stepping off the sidewalk. I'm intact. I'm safe. I'm good. So about keeping us safe, yes. And to stretch our comfort zones, of course, we don't want to do something that's not safe. Check in with people around you for the safety measures, but be willing to take small steps to take some risks so that you can identify what new beliefs you can replace the old with. Remember the operating system in our phone. Out with the old, in with the new. We're putting in something new to get rid of something that's no longer serving the phone. Okay? Really important to know that. Now listen, the third one, this is key too. RBS can keep us stuck in a have to versus a want to thinking pattern. You know me, and if you've been around me for any stretch of time, you've heard me say it's not a have to, it's a choose to, get to, want to world that we live in. Not a have to. But our BS from our past, those things that keep us safe, right? Those stories that we've been telling ourselves for a long time actually can keep us in that have to lock on mentality. And it closes us off to the possibility of what else. So that belief system that served us well. And let me be clear, friend, not all BS is bad. There are absolutely belief systems and constructs in your mind that are 100% positive and good for you. And really, there may be none that are bad. They've gotten you to where you are today, and I celebrate and applaud that. But then you got to ask yourself, are they serving me for where I want to go tomorrow, next year, where I want to grow my company to, where I want to grow my team to, where I want to grow to as a leader myself? Is my BS serving me, or am I stuck in I have to do this because if I don't, and here's all the doom and gloom that's going to come after. People that say have to, need to. I choose to, get to, want to. You'll hear me say at times, well, there is a need, but I'm going to be intentional about saying this is a need to. I'm intentionally using that terminology, and I'll say it. I'm intentionally saying need to, because really it's a want to. And that drive comes from something, a strong force within me. Well, the BS that can tell us a lot about you is how you frame opportunity, how you frame up challenges. Is a challenge seen as I have to because my boss said I have to, right? I have to go to work because I got to pay my bills. Well, there's no have to in that. It's a choose to, because every choice has a consequence, right? Every choice has a consequence. So choose to, get to, want to. And if you choose not to, that's okay. There's a consequence for that too, positive or negative. Every choice has a consequence. So if our BS is rooted and stuck in the past, right? Maybe keeping us in a have to way of thinking. And we're asking ourselves, something I've said multiple times already today, how is this serving you? Is it no longer serving you? What do you believe to be true about this belief? Where has it shown up to be true before? Is that the same as today? All of those questions, friend, you can ask yourself and you can ask somebody else. If you've got a have to person on your team, and they're always in the negative, the sky is falling, they're walking around like Eeyore with the cloud over the top of them. It's going to rain someday. It's raining somewhere. Might rain here, right? If you've got that person on your team, We want to move them into a want to, right? A choose to, get to, want to way of thinking. The way you do that is start to unpack the root of the belief that keeps them in the have to. So what do you do about BS? What else do you do about it? Well, your belief systems are there to be honored. I believe that you honor them at their roots. And you understand, like I shared, that they come from the past. Yeah. They come from the people that influenced us. Yes. So then we want to honor that and honor those experiences. I mean, I can share stories about me personally that I've experienced in my own BS journey, right? Into uncovering and unpacking the things that have kept me stuck or the things that moved me forward. I mean, if I truly believed that the story that I told myself and that I really kind of grew up, I'd even say grew up with, which is marriage isn't good. Marriage isn't safe. Well, I wouldn't have tried it multiple times. I would have stopped. But I would also say this. I know that now I know that that's false. It's one's approach to marriage. It's one's approach to relationship that is key. And taking risks to be in a relationship is worth it, because when you get into the right relationship, it's magical. Not all the time. Heck no. But you know what? When it's on, it's fantastic, those relationships. And that happens in the workplace too. You could say, I love it when I come across leaders that say, I don't like to manage people. I didn't go into management to manage people. Well, what'd you go into management for? Because there's people. And so tell me, what's the point? I don't quite get it. But I love challenging those folks. Then get out of managing people and go back to building widgets. There's no reason, if you don't want to do the people, then you should never go into management. And that's a power statement right there. I just said a should, right? Which, yeah, please do not go into management if you don't want to do the people, because people are there to be led. I had a leader one time. It was an elected official, friends. And this was many years ago in a certain organization that I had the opportunity to work with their leaders. And this person kept challenging me, saying, Tammy, you keep saying that we're all leaders. I didn't go into this to be a leader. I didn't get elected. I didn't get elected to be a leader of people. And I said, well, sir, you should have never put your name on the ballot then, because the minute you put your name on that and put your hat in the ring, you became a leader, and you've got hundreds of employees that are sitting here waiting for you to lead them, because their job relies on it. They're going to be here long after you, but their future relies on you leading them. The decisions that they make every single day has to do with how you lead them. Well, thankfully, that person was only a one-term elected official, and they stepped off and decided that wasn't for them. I'm really proud about that fact. But it's one of those belief systems that he had rooted in, that he didn't lead people. And the reality is, you might have that, or you might have people around you that are the same way. Well, you got to get underneath it. Identify where that comes from. And if you don't want to be a leader of yourself and lead people, then pick a new position, and don't be one where you're in management, because that can ruin or make it difficult for others. All right. So what do we do with the BS? What do we do with the belief systems now that we've identified some of them for ourselves, or we've worked with the people around us to identify some of their belief systems, that might be holding us back? So what do you do with it? Well, I say it this way, friend. We want to honor our belief system at their roots. Honor the belief system at the root level. Remember, I said that our beliefs are adopted. They're put upon us. We collect them from the moment that we're born, from the people that influence us all around. And there's value in that. But there's also valuable learning in the midst of understanding at a root level and honoring and celebrating at a root level the BS that makes us us, that makes you you. Not all belief systems are bad. Of course not. They're amazing. Some of them, it's not even about being bad. Let me reframe that. It's really about a belief system and how the degree to which it serves us. I'll say how well the degree to which it serves us is for us, right? How is it serving you to achieve all that you say you want to achieve? If you're not achieving the results in life that you want, that you say that you want, that your vision board on your wall, that the goals that you set back in January say that you want, listen, the belief system is holding you back. And so let's identify what the belief system is at a root level, honor it, celebrate it, acknowledge it, say, yes, that served me once upon a time. It no longer serves me today. And then let's move on. And let's identify what will serve you to achieve the results that you say you want to achieve. You know, it requires something called emotional awareness to know how to navigate your BS, to know how to be able to ask your own powerful questions of self and be authentically real and transparent with self. Look in the mirror and ask, how is this serving me? How is this moving forward or holding me back? And it holds that power for you, positive or negative, depending on how you answer those questions. So honor your belief system when you identify them. And when a belief no longer serves you because you've actually proven it to be maybe untrue for you anymore, or it just is no longer something that you believe in for yourself, then what are you going to replace it with? If not this, then what? Comes the next question. So how do you expose the BS in others? Well, the bottom line, simply put, is this. When we're open as leaders with ourself, identifying for ourselves what's working, what's not, what more, what less, and we are transparent with the team around us, our relationships around us, and we open ourselves up to those things that we're pushing away, right? Or that we're rejecting, and we're letting people know the why behind it. Others will start to model that. Others will be curious and they're going to want to know more. When you start achieving your goals and you start becoming that masterful manifester of all great things, people are going to want to know, how'd you get there? What caused it? And you're going to be able to say, I got down to the belief system that was holding me back, and I adopted a new belief. I put a new pattern of behavior, right? I created new habits, right? I created new habits to get a different outcome. And now I know that I can, which is a strengthening of a new belief. I can achieve this where I didn't see that I could achieve it before. I didn't have the picture of what that looks like. Sometimes there's these things that I call replacement pictures that'll come into play. But it starts with the way to help others starts with how you fix it in you first. Model the way. Show them how it's done. Cultivate that excellence in yourself, right? And as you learn how to cultivate that excellence to drive you forward, others are going to be noticing around you. And you get to open up to new opportunities. Opportunities for you, opportunities for your family, opportunities for your business. And you get to shut down. That's one of the exciting things, the BS, the old storytelling that was holding you back before. I hope this was helpful for you today. Thank you for joining me in the sandbox. It's been a lot of fun. And I know that as you're navigating your BS, there's more for you to unpack with that. So head on over to tammyjbond.com/podcast and sign up to get this month's after action plan so you can dive into all about your BS and get some more tools and strategies and powerful questions, right? The actual technique to unpack the BS that's no longer serving you so that you can achieve more in life, in work, and just in all things you. Make it a great day, friend. Well, thank you for joining me in the sandbox today. My hope is that you're leaving with new tips, tools, and strategies to navigate your personal leadership, your team leadership, and your next bold conversation. And hey, it would mean so much to me if you would share today's episode with a friend or a colleague that you feel could really benefit from what we shared in the sandbox today. You know, third-party affirmations go a long way in today's world economy, and I would be honored if you shared the value that you gained from spending time in the sandbox. And if you haven't done so already, head on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. The team and I have planned out some really great content that'll be going up each week that you won't see here on the podcast. It'll only be on the YouTube channel, and I don't want you to miss out. And remember to head to tammyjbond.com/podcast to let our team know that you want a copy of today's episode's After Action Plan.